All right, I'm sure most of you watching this video have noticed that society is pushing us towards a future where we own nothing, and we're supposed to actually be happy about it and go about our day like it's normal. Everything is becoming a subscription service. And now, with reports about there being possibly 50-year mortgages and 15-year car loans, there's going to be no such thing as home ownership. You don't buy a house, you rent it, essentially, if you're going to be signing up for a 50-year-long mortgage, right? And, I mean, 15 years for a car payment, the crazy thing is you're never going to be able to pay that car off. It's just going to keep rolling over into new cars, your new car loans. Every time you get a new car, you're never going to be able to catch up to that. And again, those are like big purchases. But what about like the smaller purchases that you might not realize, such as software, streaming services was cool, right? But again, you look around and all of a sudden everything is a subscription, right? And we're acting like it's normal, it's day-to-day stuff, but we're slowly giving away our ownership of our lives to subscriptions. And the problem is cost of ownership is rising at speeds that it's almost impossible to keep up with, whether it's housing, cars, land, anything. And anything you want to talk, again, even the smaller stuff, whether it's food, subscription services, anything that you do in life, the cost of owning it, and a lot of things you can't even own anymore, you have to get a subscription service. And what's really frustrating is something for me personally is I make more money like every year. What I mean by that is I make more money than the year before. But the problem is I'm not making enough money to be able to keep up, not only just keep up, but to beat inflation. So the thing people don't understand is just because you make more money than you did the previous year doesn't mean you're getting ahead. You have to not only make more money than you did previously last year, you have to beat inflation, which is extremely hard at these rates of how crazy inflation is rising in America. And younger generations like myself can't buy property like the older generations did. Yes, sure, it was always hard. It always took a lot of work. But now we live in a world where everything is becoming rent-based. Why this is happening? Well, for starters, this is something that I've been really looking at, like the housing market, where corporations such as BlackRock, I think Blackstone's another one too, they're buying up homes. So not just homes, properties, land, everything. So again, it's becoming a rent-based housing market. So corporations are just buying up houses in bulk and they're just renting them. So, and again, right, us as young adults, we're not going to be able to beat out corporations, right? We can't outbid them because most houses are going over asking price. You have to come in over the listed amount to buy a home. And back then you could actually negotiate. And it's even happening with cars now. Back then you could negotiate a housing price, right? If a house is listed for $300K, you can maybe get it for $30,000 less. Same thing with cars. Now people are just going in there buying the car over the ticket price. It's insane. And along with so much more regulations from the government and laws and all these regulations that are making small ownership even harder, not to mention the big brands are only getting bigger and it's wiping out the mom and pop shops, people that are freelancing, that are trying to maybe do some work on the side. It's very difficult when you have the big names like Amazon. You can throw in Walmart, Target. Those are just retailers, but of course food, every industry has the big dogs in their industry. And it is, as they grow, it's only making it harder for the everyday average person to try and build something of their own. And rising costs are they're just pushing people into permanently renting. Because again, you might, and this is like where it's so messed up, because again, you make more money than you did last year, you get a raise, maybe you get a promotion, but, and in your head, you're thinking you're doing better. In your head, you think you're getting ahead, but you're not. If you're not beating inflation, and it's not like you do it 1 year, you have to beat inflation every single year if you want to get ahead. And, you know, the news, the media, everything is becoming controlling. You know, we don't even have control of our minds anymore. And the psychological angle is people are being softened. People are being conditioned to be with not owning anything. They're okay with not owning anything. And it's tough, but we are going into a subscription-based culture where we pay for things forever and we never own anything. And again, at this rate, you know, you're just going to keep reoccurring more bills, because a subscription is just a bill every month. And you're always gonna have the bill. And the crazy thing is about it too is these things go up, if not yearly, every other, and most of them do go up every year. So again, if you can't keep up with the inflation, if you can't keep up with the increase in subscriptions prices that you're paying for every month, how are you ever going to get ahead? How? It is so difficult. And this is why ownership equals freedom. Owning things will give you stability, power, and control. And that's something that I want to feel in my life. Everyone, I think, wants to feel like they have control and that they have stability over their life, right? And everyone deserves to feel that way, right? It's our life, you know, and we should have the power and control over our lives. But renting everything, it keeps people anxious and dependent. And people just go through lives for years, and people will go through their whole life, not just for years, but their whole lives of being anxious and dependent on things. And it's a really sucky way to live. It really is. So what you can do, I don't even know if I can call it a solution, but just something to work in the right direction, is to try to start with small ownership. You know, try to make something of your own, whether that's a side business. Land is going to be pretty difficult, but maybe like tools, whatever you're interested in. Try to get a taste of what small ownership feels like. You know, either have some sort of side hustle, and if you're good like with tools or anything, or maybe if you don't have any type of skills, like myself, I'm a person that I don't believe I have a ton of talent or skills. Learn a skill that aren't controlled by a platform. Now, it sounds easy, but it's not, because almost everything is controlled by a platform. But for example, like what I do is I do DoorDash on the side. That is like my side hustle. My day job is a pest control. I'm an exterminator. And then I do DoorDash and I do YouTube. So yes, two of the three are, I mean, again, you could say all of them are controlled, but there's only really one that is controlled, which is my day job, the pest control exterminator technician job. But DoorDash, I can set my own hours, work when I want to work. If I want to stop working after an hour, I can do that. If I don't want to take an order, I don't have to take an order if it comes through my phone. I can decline as many orders as I want, take what I want. It is a sense of freedom. And with YouTube, same thing. I can post whatever, I don't want to say whatever I want, but I can post whenever I want. I can create my own schedule for YouTube. So yes, those are things that it feels nice to have some sort of, it's small ownership, but it's small control, but at least it's something I can grasp on and hopefully build on, and to continue to grow as, you know, side hustle and my YouTube channel. That is, of course, the goal. And that's the same thing. And it's the really more important thing is really just creating more than you consume. And that could be anything, whether it's on YouTube or TikTok, or maybe not social media. Like I said, maybe you're good with your hands. Maybe you're at fixing things. any type of side business that you can do, preferably on its own platform that is not controlled by another corporation, which again, that is hard, but at least that corporation has very little control over what you're doing, and that you have your small piece of ownership, and hopefully you can use that to propel yourself to beat inflation every year, and you can eventually start owning whatever you want. I mean, listen, some people are okay with renting. There's pros and cons to renting. Trust me, I rent, and I know the pros, I know the cons. But yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of people do want to own a house. A lot of people don't want to have to pay an absurd hundreds of dollars every month for a car note. And they don't want to be drowning in bills every month, worrying about paying all these subscription services and debts and loans, whatever else they might have. And again, as humans, I think we should all do that. But unfortunately, the government and how the system is designed is they want you to survive, not thrive. And freedom starts with owning something, even if it's a small piece. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments, thoughts down below. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.